Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
Houston, this is Station. We are ready for the event.
JSC PAO, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
Station, this is Dan Hewitt with JSC PAO. How do you hear me?
Dan, this is Station. We have you loud and clear.
All right. Thank you so much, Nicole, Josh, Koichi, Anna, for taking a couple of minutes to talk to everybody. Got a lot of folks down on the ground ready to ask questions, so we're going to jump right in. Reminder for reporters on the phone bridge, press *1 to get added into the question queue. And on social media, use that hashtag AskNASA. So first up, we'll go to Marcia Dunn with the Associated Press. Marcia?
Missing most about Earth, what you can't wait to see and do when you get back, besides family and friends. And when you think about Frank's mission being double to a year, man, that's a long time. Can you imagine having to spend an extra 6 months up there? Thanks.
And the first part of your message there, Marcia, got cut off, so we'll just go ahead and answer that in general. I know that, we have beautiful views of Earth from the cupola, but really all you have is that visual. I know for me personally, I'm really excited to feel the wind on my face, to smell the grass in the air, and to taste all the delicious food back on Earth. We were definitely going to miss Frank, and we will think of him often. We talk about sharing our experiences when we get back to Earth with him. While he's still on the station, he will be in our thoughts. We know that he's going to do an incredible job. He is very well suited and quite the professional. And so we'll be excited to catch up with him when he returns to Earth.
All right, thank you. Next up, we have Elizabeth Howell with Space.com. Liz?
Hello, thank you. Maybe this is for Nicole. Trying to get Frank into that Crew Dragon must have been one of the most interesting applications of just-in-time training. Can you talk about how you and the rest of the crew, and of course Frank, got that scenario together? Thanks.
Well, it was really the teams at NASA and SpaceX that worked very closely to come up with a plan quite quickly so that we can safely add a seat to Dragon and return Frank. Josh actually put the seat liner in Dragon, so do you want to talk to that, Blue?
Yeah, absolutely. And Dan, if you could help us out, if you could mute while we're answering, because we're getting a bit of an echo up here. But yeah, Frank and I worked together to install that, and it was really cool to work with Aki. Aki, who had obviously been on Crew 2, was on the ground and had gone through the whole procedure when he was out at Hawthorne, and so we were able to work very closely with him. There are a couple differences as we were, putting the wrenches in place. We had some clearance issues that weren't apparent in Hawthorne. We worked through it and got Frank a great little seat that I actually wouldn't mind riding in too. It looks pretty comfy down there, and he doesn't have to hear us talk. He doesn't have a headset in that case, so he's not going to hear us running our mouths up there in our seats.
All right, and sorry about that feedback, Josh. Next up, we got Huichiro with Kyoto News. Huichiro, go ahead.
Thank you for taking my question. My question is to Wakata-san. 2 days ago, JAXA announced 2 next-generation astronaut candidates. What is your expectations for them? And also, I want to hear about the unique contribution which Japan will make to the international space community in the coming decades. Thank you.
Yes, it was a great news to hear that the JAXA selected 2 new candidates, Suwa-san and Yoda-san. I would like to welcome them, and I look forward to meeting them in person, and I look forward to working with them. Government of Japan has decided to join the extension of the space station through to 2030, and at the same time we're in a full-fledged development stage of the Gateway program. So very exciting time, and they're joining us to further extend our human frontier in space. So I really expect them to work hard and work to contribute to the expanding our frontier in space together with our wonderful teammates here and all over the world.
All right, next up we have Sophie Sanchez with Cosmic Chicago. Sophie?
Good morning from Chicago, Crew. My question's for Nicole. It's Women's History Month and 50 years since the Navy allowed female Navy aviators. When I spoke with you in 2017, you talked about training on Orion, then you trained on Boeing Starliner, and now here you are on station having commanded Crew Dragon. As a test pilot, can you tell me what the experience has been like for you training on so many new spacecrafts, kind of where Dragon stacked up and any concerns you might have about your flight home? Thank you.
Well, it's been absolutely incredible. The wonderful thing about training at NASA is we get trained across the board on many different skills and many different spacecrafts, and we're able to contribute to the future development of new spacecraft such as Orion and the Artemis program, and then still contribute to our ongoing operations on board the International Space Station. So that has been just a thrilling experience. Dragon is an incredible spacecraft. It is definitely next generation. It's highly automated. We are thoroughly trained to take over in case of any type of emergency scenario. But in a nominal situation, Dragon is quite capable for all the undocking, the phasing, re-entry, and landing. So we will be monitoring all the systems very closely, but we have complete faith in the Dragon spacecraft, in NASA and SpaceX, and we're looking forward to returning home safely in just over a week.
Okay, next up we have Sam Dodge with Michigan Live. Sam?
Yes, Josh, I've been following your journey, from Albion College, where my paper is based out of, knowing that you're a graduate of there. How did your time at Albion College help propel you on your career path towards becoming an astronaut?
You're right. Albion College is a small little school that offered me a huge opportunity. In fact, my college was smaller than my high school. I went to a big high school and a small college, and what was really meaningful to me and what was really empowering to me was being in a really small, intimate group. In fact, just last night I talked to one of my professors from college, Dr. Kammer, and when Dr. Kammer would teach, one of my favorite things is that he, when the class would start, he would roll up his sleeves, just like my sleeves are rolled up right now, and that's when I knew when we were going to get to work. And there were just 3 of us in the class typically, sometimes 4. But what that built was this sense of teamwork. We all had different strengths in physics, and we all put them all together, and we'd eventually get the homework set done. And what that built for me was this idea that I call academic courage. A lot of that stuff seems really daunting and overwhelming when you think about it, and it kind of sometimes keeps you from going to pursue it. And what you learn pretty quickly is once you get into it, it's not nearly as bad as you might have guessed. And sometimes it's just you need to learn the new language. But it's a lot of work, but it's always worth it. And I think that's the lesson that I learned from Albion that I've taken all the way up here, and I'm going to take it on for the rest of my life once I figure out what I want to do when I grow up.
And I'm sure you'll grow up someday. Next up, we've got Mark Carreau with Aviation Week. Mark?
Yes, thank you. I'm wondering if the seat liners that launched originally on the Soyuz MS-22 have been now placed in the replacement Soyuz MS-23. Those would be, of course, for Frank Rubio, Dmitry, and Sergei.
So we had a successful docking of the new Soyuz just a few days ago, and there's quite a bit of cargo operations that need to go on prior to moving the seat liners. And so just in a few days from now, we will transition the seat liners over to the new Soyuz. So that includes Sergei and Dima from their current Soyuz, and then we'll remove Frank's seat liner from Crew-5 Dragon over to his Soyuz, and then reconfigure our spacecraft for departure.
All right, we're going to switch over to some social questions now. Reminder for reporters, press *1 if you're on the phone bridge to get into the queue. The first one from Elaine on Twitter wanted to know if anybody in Crew-5 saw any of those outrageous auroras over the past couple nights.
Okay, so Monday morning, I headed into Node 3, which is where our restroom is, but also where the beautiful cupola is. And it was really dark in there, and I was about to take care of some business that we have to do up here as astronauts doing different samples, and it's kind of a miserable process. And it was really dark, and then I heard this little voice down hanging in the cupola, and Duke says, "Blue, you got to see this." And I came down, and we just soaked it all in on Monday morning, and feeling a little guilty that we weren't in a position that we had the words to describe what we were seeing. It was really remarkable. We were over North America, very northern part, at the maximum latitude that we can get. And so on Tuesday, we took advantage of an opportunity. We had a half day, and Duke can talk to you about it, but we got set up on a time lapse, and we got some pretty amazing photography. We were giddy yesterday when we saw it.
It was really fun. Koichi's done a lot of time lapse, so he had that expertise, and Josh got it all focused and set up. And I think we took maybe 3 night passes worth of photography. It was just incredible. But yeah, I woke up that morning just early and thought I'd spend some time in the cupola, maybe soaking in some of those, last nighttime views before we depart. And I couldn't believe the aurora. The coolest thing to me is that as the sun rose, you could still see the northern lights. And so you get all those amazing colors of the sunrise, the deep red to the orange to the blue, but you could still see the green of the aurora. And I have a friend, Amy, that lives in Alaska. I happened to talk to her on Tuesday, and she mentioned this incredible northern lights that she saw. And she said, if Alaskans are talking about the northern lights, it's got to be good. So she sent pictures from Earth, and we sent her pictures from space. It was pretty special.
All right, thanks, guys.
And everybody up here tolerated me saying, "Hey, that's the excited state of oxygen." We were pretty fired up that's just quantum mechanics at work. It's pretty neat.
Always teaching, always teaching. All right, next up from Rain Brain, what's the best and the worst thing about living on the space station?
The best, weightlessness and easy, it's happiness. The worst, initialization of module.
She's right. I find, I think the most frustrating thing for me is that you just lose stuff all the time. You think you've put something in a secure spot, and now you need to pay attention to something else for just a moment, and then you look back and it has silently and somewhat maliciously snuck off. So, we lose stuff all the time. We lost Duke last week for about 3 days. We found her on the inlet for ventilation. But it's remarkable. It'll always come back, but it doesn't always come back quickly. And Frank is amazing. He can find anything. The background tends to be really busy, so it gets overwhelming as you're staring at something, searching. And just because we've got so much going on in the space station, so that's the thing that's probably one of my very few complaints up here is that I lose stuff all the time.
That actually leads in great to the next question from Ali. Wanted to know, how do you maintain and stay highly focused and motivated with all of the crazy distractions that happen when you're on board?
Yeah, it has been a pretty exciting mission from the get-go, and then but we have a really good team on the ground who gives us the perfect planning and also the tasks that we need to accomplish. So we could always focus on what we needed to do today and tomorrow. And so even if we had encountered difficulties, the ground team came up with very creative ideas of planning and tasks. and we just could just follow the plans that they gave us. So we really appreciate the teamwork of the ground mission control centers, and it was very easy for us to follow the plans that they gave us.
All right, one more on social before we go back to the phone bridge. Sophia wanted to know if you're going to be able to see Crew-6 when they launch.
Unfortunately, if they launch tomorrow, we will not be in a position to be able to see them launch, but we will be very anxious the next day to see them during rendezvous, and during docking, we'll be able to see them as they come underneath the space station prior to coming up for in the docking corridor. And then, of course, we're going to have a ton of cameras on them as they're making that approach to station. And I think most excited, we're looking forward to opening that hatch and seeing their smiling faces when we welcome Crew-6 on board.
All right, jumping back over to the phone bridge, let's go to McKeel from NHK. Take it away.
Okay, thank you for taking my question. My question is for Wakata-san. So you are now 59 years old and will soon reach the retirement age of JAXA. This may be your last flight. So looking back on your flight, how do you feel about the flight this time? And what do you think about the crew member you worked with? And what do you want to do after you return to the ground? Thank you.
Do you want us to step out while you talk about it?
Those are great questions. Thank you very much. I will, I really cherish this time spending this orbit time with the super can-do crewmates. I'm going to miss this opportunity. And then each time when I flew in space, I thought this was going to be my last flight, but I was able to fly a fifth time. So I'm just a lucky person. So I cannot think of what I can do after this, because this has been a great time that I was able to work with these talented people. And I was able to work on board the space station with the assembly phase and 3 crew member stage, 6 crew member stage, now 7 crew member stage. And I really can feel the ISS is evolving both structurally, physically, and also from the software standpoint. With the introduction of the tablets and other applications and software, the operation has become so much more efficient than when I first started to live on board the space station in 2009. So station is evolving, and we have acquiring a variety of data for us to continue human space exploration, not only on the low Earth orbit, but to the moon and Mars.
Okay, next up we have Manuel Mazzanti from Space Exploration Especial. Take it, Manuel.
Thank you, Josh. It's a question for Anna. Anna, we had a chance to talk before lunch, and I remember you sharing with us all your busy agenda for 6 months. What could you share with us now that you've been there? What is it that you consider your biggest contribution in the mission or the experiment that you enjoy the most? And second, how was the experience of managing your hair? Thank you.
Or most.
First, I want to share you with you my feelings. I expected the good, nice job with that guys, and it is reality, and I'm happy with that. My expectations is realized, and it is happy to have work on station with that guys, easy and comfortable. As to my special works, yes, I had a work with European Robotic Arm ERA. It's cool. That robot is working good. Unfortunately, our EVA was interrupted, and we didn't finish our work, but we can continue to do that. And next working, we continue with Andrei Fedyaev, who will arrive in Crew-6. How I do with my hair, everybody's laughing constantly with that. Take it close to you, my head don't visible. First, I washed them about 2.5 hours. Now I improved my skills, and it is already only 1 hour. And the most secret is to have times of rinse after shampoo. It's the most secret.
All right. Thank you, Anna. Next up, we got Jackie with White Bear Press. Jackie.
Hi, this is Jackie with the White Bear Press. This question is for Josh. We are the White Bear School District where you went to high school, and I'm just wondering what advice do you have for students in school who are interested in being where you are someday?
Well, I'm first of all glad it was for me. I would hate for my my hometown to be asking a question directly to one of these guys because they probably want to be talking about behind my back. But I'll tell you, to be where I am right now, along with these amazing people, I think, at least for me, the first step was not counting on it. This is, for me, a little bit like playing the lottery. You can't win if you don't buy a ticket, but you're probably going to need a different retirement plan. That's what I always say about this job, because it's just, it's amazing to be a part of it, and the people that also want to do it and can do it incredibly well. There are so many, and they are so capable. My path to get here was simply doing what I love. Every step of the way, I was doing something that I'm incredibly passionate about, and I think for a lot of us, when we got here, what we were doing at that moment was something that we absolutely loved, and it was a little bit heartbreaking to have to leave that to come to NASA. We're very happy to be here, but if you're doing what you love, you can't lose. So I don't think there's a recipe. I don't think there's a checklist that you can ever check off to get to a place like this. But if you're doing what you love, you can't lose.
All right, we're getting to some follow-ups now. Let's go back to Elizabeth Howell with Space.com. Liz.
Thanks for finding me again. Koichi, can you talk about your new colleagues, the 2 new Japanese astronauts that have been selected, and your feelings about the program going forward? Thank you.
Yeah, it's really exciting to hear the news. On Tuesday, I saw the news of the Yoneda-san and Suwa-san selected. Very capable and a very interesting background, and I really look forward to working with them. This is best timing. 15 years ago in March, the Japanese first module was launched to the space station, and the government of Japan has decided to join the extension of the space station. And also, we are working with partners for the lunar missions in the Gateway program. So for them, they have plenty of opportunities in the low Earth orbit as well as for the moon exploration. So I feel very envious, but I would like to convey what I have experienced as an astronaut, and I would like to support them for their training as well as for their space flight.
All right, we've got one more from Marcia Dunn at the Associated Press. Marcia.
Thanks for your answer, Nicole. And I have the same question for your 3 colleagues there. What do you most miss about Earth? What can't you wait to do as soon as you get back, aside from hugging your family and friends? And if each of the 3 of you could answer, that'd be swell. Thank you.
Sure, Marcia, I'll start. So in our family of 4, I'm the only person who can't sail, despite being the only one who's in the U.S. Navy. So when I get back, my kids have promised to teach me how to sail, and I am really excited about that. We're going to start on a little boat, and then if I don't embarrass myself, maybe we can go a little bit bigger. And then we've also talked as a family, we're going to get a dog. We're really excited to do that. We're going to get a rescue. And please don't tell our 2 cats. Hopefully they're not watching right now. Actually, I know for sure they're sleeping. But that's something we're really excited to do as a family. And then I guess finally for me, I've not been able to stay plugged in with my kids' studies. I'm really excited about their math. And so I know this is probably making them roll their eyes. They're probably going to try to switch Dad to decaf. But I'm just really excited as they learn this stuff for the first time, that I can go through it with them and be excited with them.
No, as to me, I want to say first, I miss in my close people and pets. And first, I want to hug as much as possible, hard and warm, all of them, and have enjoy with them with some activities, communications, and as to little things. I want to drink hot tea from real cup, not from plastic bag. Because of here we have a tea with flavor of plastic bag, little bit.
Yeah, it's been a great time for me to live at a home away from home in low Earth orbit, but I really miss my family. And I, through the training and also space flight, I've been away from my family for a long time, so I simply like to spend time with them in person. And since we don't have hot bath in the space station, I really miss going to a hot spring in Japan. And of course, I would like to have as much sushi as possible with my family together. So just spending time in person with my family is what I'm looking forward to it. And then I really am thankful for their support.
All right, one more on the phone bridge. We've got Chris Davenport with the Washington Post. Chris?
Hey, thanks so much. Obviously, it's always busy on the International Space Station. It seems you all had a little more drama with the Soyuz 22 and the Progress 82 leaks. I just wonder if you could talk a little bit about coming together as a crew to work through all of that, working with each other, working with the ground, and how Frank is thinking about all of this. I guess if Josh or Nicole can take that. Thanks.
Absolutely. It's very impressive to me to see how everybody comes together to work with these off-nominal situations. And we all know that spaceflight can be unpredictable. We are doing some incredible things as we explore outside the bounds of Earth. And each time the crew comes together, the Crew-5, our Soyuz crew, as well as all the space agencies on Earth, all of our international partners, including our commercial partners. And that's just incredible. For me, this is really epitomizes what we're doing as human beings to explore in space. We are uniting the world as a species. And together, when we combine our efforts, it's remarkable what we can achieve. And I think Expedition 68 has been a great example of our potential.
All right. And then our final question, quick one for everybody. Favorite memory of the mission? This is from @WomenInTheAir on Twitter.
Okay, I don't think this one is due to the recency of it happening, but I really I can't thank Nicole enough for dragging me down into the cupola on Monday morning and showing me a view. There have been some absolutely incredible views since we've been up here. There's no part of the planet that isn't absolutely beautiful and gorgeous. But when I heard that excitement in her voice to come down and take a look, I knew it was going to be something, but I didn't know it was going to be that. It was incredible to see that aurora. It really was something.
Except good experiments and researching, it is everything is interesting. But in my memory, I won't say it is join meetings with all crew of station when we gathered together, when we ate common joint food meal, and we were much laughing, and was like one something, and every such meeting was so easy, light, and happy, and like no, it's good, and it is in my memory like really comfortable working and relaxing, resting also.
Yeah, I totally echo Anya. Yeah, this eating together and spending after hours and weekends together with my crewmates is a very precious time. I will remember that forever. And at the same time, I really cherish the time that we had with the ground team for a lot of conferences, for technical meetings, and we know that we were supported by so many people around the world at the mission controls everywhere, and we are so grateful for that. So the time that we spend with the teams on the ground, that was a very precious moment. When they're joking, sometimes I do not understand the joke, but Josh was always interpreting the joke, and I really appreciate that. So teamwork, the spending time with the team was my most precious time.
That's difficult to answer and choose just one. But the one that stands out to me is on our second spacewalk when Koichi and I were out the door and we're trying to get that mid-strut installed. And we finally did. And we looked at each other and just big eyes and yes. And I know the ground on the team was cheering. And again, that's one of those times where everybody just came together. The team on the ground, they were trying to troubleshoot it and come up with a solution. Josh and Frank were watching because they already had this experience. They were trying to come up with a solution. And it was everybody working together because we were going to accomplish that mission. And we did. And that's kind of been the theme, I think, all of Expedition 68 and Crew-5 is that mission accomplishment is our highest priority. And we're going to work together as a team with the grounds and all of our international partners to accomplish that mission. And it's really been a joy and a privilege to be a part of.
All right, Nicole, Josh, Koichi, Anna, thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with us. Enjoy that last week on station, and we can't wait to see you back here on planet Earth. That'll do it for us. Thanks.
Station, this is Houston ACR. Thank you. That concludes our event.
And station, we are now resuming operational audio communications.